soul of the city.
What's up, St. Louis City fans? My name is Mick Massa. This is Chris Tronichek, and this is Jonah Finley, brand new to the podcast. This is episode 2 of Soul of the City, brought to you by First Touch Media, and today we're going to be talking about some starting 11, some players that we're making note of, and just what kind of tactics we think are going to work best for getting the best out of this season. So,
yeah, a little bit of context, though. We want to talk about the preseason because that just wrapped up, and I'd say it was a pretty successful preseason for the City squad. They were supposed to have 3 games down in Florida and then 3 games out in California, but I think the Charlotte FC game got abandoned is what the app said for me. So whatever that means.
Abandoned ship. Get us out of here.
It would have been cool to see how we matched up against a relatively new MLS squad, but it's whatever.
And we got our first game ever coming up on the 25th, this next Saturday. We're coming up against Austin.
Yeah.
And,
at
6
Austin.
days.
At Austin.
Yeah. So it'll be a hostile environment. Matthew McConaughey will be I don't know. He'll be doing whatever he's doing.
His usual
Hitting
like,
a
sexy
drum or
voice,
something.
whatever he does.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's into soccer now.
You know how these
Good for
celebs
him,
are.
man.
Yeah. Anyway, the preseason, we had a 2-2 draw in our very first game against Philadelphia Union, and we had João Klaus and Giacchini on the score sheet there. Giacchini scored a pen at the end, and João Klaus just does João Klaus things, and he gets it done.
Number 9.
Yeah, and then the second game we played against Miami Club Football, CF. Skunked them 4-0. Everybody was on the score sheet. Indiana Vasilov, Lucas Barlett, he was kind of a trial player.
Trialist, yep.
Yeah, trialist. We had Sam Adeniran. That's a tough
Nice.
name. Yeah, and Celio Pompeo, which we saw a little bit of him in the MLS Next Pro team.
I like him.
Yeah, he's looking pretty
He's one
good.
to watch for sure.
Yeah, then they headed out to California. Well, they came back to St. Louis, trained a little bit. Then they headed out to California, and they played LA Galaxy. And the score sheet looks bad. It was 4-1, but it was 1-1 going into halftime. And then they kind of been doing first half teams and second half teams, at least for those first 3 games that we played.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Just because they wanted to get as many people touches on the ball and like real game minutes.
Experiment with the team,
Yeah,
the lineups.
and they wanted to see who had chem and kind of just mix and match.
And you know, with most sport teams, preseason, it doesn't mean that much. It means something. It's worth checking out, but I'm not too worried about the preseason because I can't wait for the real season to start.
Exactly. So then we went in, and it was good to see we were able to keep a clean sheet versus Vancouver. The only problem is that Vancouver also kept a clean sheet versus us. So, but you can tell kind of like a starting lineup is starting to kind of formulate at this point because they're not doing first half team, second half team. They're subbing people in around the 75-minute mark. And then the final game in California was versus New York City FC, which I think was a pretty good test because that's always a solid squad now. And we tied 3-3, and we had Akil Watts, good to see him on the score sheet, Indiana Vasilov again on the score sheet, and Edouard Leuven on the score sheet. You'll hear a lot about those 3 cats later on
Absolutely.
in the pod. So the final game, while everybody was out at Mardi Gras getting hammered. Yeah,
I'm still recovering.
honestly, yeah, it was kind of
I love to see how many people pop out in St. Louis.
It was beautiful.
It was a beautiful day.
It was a great day to celebrate Mardi Gras. But while we were all getting hammered, the lads were out on the pitch taking it. They're up against one of the best. They're up against one of the best MLS teams there are right now, Atlanta United, and they were unfortunate to fall 2-1 to them. But João Klaus got on the score sheet. And I think we're going to see a lot of that throughout the season. So that gives us a little bit of context and kind of helps create this exercise that we're doing now. Milo, myself, and Jonah all separately did research and tried to come up with what we thought was going to be the best formation for our squad or what we think Bradley Carnell will come with for most of the time. You're not going to stick with the same formation throughout the whole season, obviously. Like, you're kind of going to adapt as you see different teams and different looks.
Have some people come back from injury. We got some really important pieces that they're not in the team yet, so we're excited to see them come back as well.
Absolutely. And so we're each just going to go through our number one. We'll all say what our formations are because I don't know if we have the same formation. We'll see, I guess, and explain why we think we'll play that style, that formation on next Saturday. And then we'll also just at each position we'll say who we think is the starter
or who we want to play there.
Yeah.
If there's somebody who's out that we think is going to be there normally, then we'll definitely be sure to touch on them.
Yep.
Later on in the pod, we'll talk about who we think our top goal scorer is and
MVP of the season.
and maybe like a dark horse, somebody who's off the bench who might not have that starting spot now, but who we think could be vying for a position or play their way into the starting lineup pretty consistently. So,
And we're going to be doing some score predictions for the Saturday game.
yeah. So let's get into it. I think the best place to start is with the goalkeeper. This is probably the easiest place to start too.
I'm sure
Yep,
we all have the
Yeah.
same person.
Yeah, on 3, 3, 2, 1.
Roman
Berkey.
Berkey.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Did anybody do a player profile?
I did a
Projection on
little
him?
bit of a player profile. It didn't get too extensive, but he's a 2-time DFB Pokal winner. He's a German Super Cup winner. He's a Swiss Cup winner. And in the Bundesliga, he's played 210 appearances with 264 goals conceded and 69 clean sheets. In Champions League, he
Nice.
has 33 appearances, 41 goals conceded, and 12 clean sheets. And then in the Swiss Super League, which I don't know much about it, but he had 112 appearances, 145 goals conceded, and 37 clean sheets in total. He has a lot of experience. I think that's what I come back to every time. You want a commander in between the sticks for you. You need somebody that has experience in tight situations, especially in finals. I think just being in finals is a huge advantage to have. Being able to keep your defense, under control, calm. That's a great option for us, and we'll see how it goes. I want us to get behind him. He doesn't have the best stats ever. He didn't have the greatest ending to his Dortmund career, but
But that wasn't all his fault.
Right, yeah, Dortmund
they
didn't have
lost some key pieces. And he had a lot of goals conceded, that's true. But when you look at his career save percentage, 70.8%,
nice.
that's definitely above average.
And you put that in the MLS.
Yeah,
That's way different
exactly.
than
That's
the
against
Champions League.
against
Yeah.
Bundesliga teams.
Right.
I was about to
So-
say there's not a whole lot of MLS players out there right now that have had any Champions League experience.
Definitely.
Like any. And so he's had an extensive amount of Champions League experience and played for Dortmund, one of the better clubs in Europe. So I think that's exciting. His
Yeah.
transfer market value right now, according to Transfer Market Online, is about $1.6 million.
He's definitely our highest paid player that we got right now.
On
Mhm.
wages.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're
Do you
paying
know,
him.
Do we know wages? What
No.
what they are? Okay.
But
We
I
can
do
look
have
that
a
up.
little fun fact about him.
We'll get the team on that.
Even though he's a European soccer kind of guy, he's also an American football kind of guy.
Is he?
so
Yeah.
The Germans are really into American football.
he's a big fan of the Carolina Panthers, and he actually went and practiced with their squad. He did some kicks and some throws. But I think we're gonna have to, as he spends more time here in our great state of Missouri, I think we're gonna have to convert him into a Chiefs fan because Patty Mahomes GOAT. Like,
Yeah.
why would you want to
Should be an easy switch.
Yeah,
It's true.
absolutely.
Okay, this one, I mean, we'll start it right back. Let's start over there.
Well, let me say something first. So
Okay.
Berkey's gonna play goalie regardless of the formation, but just to get back into the predicted formations, I do think that we're gonna be running a 4-2-3-1. That's just gonna allow us to run the high press style that Bradley Carnell is associated with. That's what he ran at New York Red Bulls for I guess half the games, I think.
Yeah, so Bradley Carnell coached 6 games for the Red Bulls as the interim head coach, and he ran that formation for half. So
Yeah,
3
and
games.
that's so all the preseason games were played behind closed doors. So we didn't get to watch them unfortunately, but one of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch reporters did get to go to a lot of those, and he said that that's the formation they prefer.
Yeah,
And
and when you
that's
look
for
at
the
the
preseason.
lineup, like the players that we have, it kind of makes sense. Like they would use that because when we're
Mhm.
sitting here looking at our projected lineup, those players just kind of slot into those spots nicely. So
So yeah, I had the same formation.
okay,
Yep, 43-1.
I wanted to specify that I have one CDM, one CM, and one
Yeah.
CAM.
Okay.
yeah.
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 I'm sure
I
that's
think
how
we're
it'll
all
shake
kind of in
out.
the same
Yeah.
spot there. Okay, so let's start it right back. I had Jake Nervinsky.
Yep.
He was the 7th overall pick by Vancouver back in 2017, and he started 23 of 27 games in 2022 for Vancouver. He helped them get into Champions League for CONCACAF Champions League, not
Not UCL.
yeah, not good Champions League. So
That'd be catastrophic.
Yeah, yeah. Not a whole lot on this cat, other than he's got MLS experience, and you'd love to see that. You know what I
he
mean?
has the second most experience in the MLS on the team after Tim Parker. He's played for 6 years at Vancouver. He has 138 MLS games played in the league. So yeah, like you said,
and that's what you want.
He's a vet, of the
Especially
MLS.
for a first season. I think a lot of experience is the best way
Very
to go
valuable.
because you don't really want to be figuring out your role or your play style. Mid-season, you want
Right.
people that have been in the MLS or anywhere else really. Just they got experience, and we got two people that have some great experience already.
Yeah, I would say that's a great transition into our center back, Tim Parker, which Jonah already mentioned. He's the other guy who has the most amount of MLS experience, and he played for Vancouver at the beginning of his career, moved to New York Red Bulls, where he linked up with Bradley Cardinell, and that's how Bradley knew about him and knew about his not only his play style but also his demeanor as a person and his ability to lead. We'll talk a little bit about captains. Tim Parker is definitely in the mix for that. You saw him. I saw him wearing the captain's band in some of the preseason photos. So
I think in Tim Parker's spot, I think Joachim Nilsson is a really good option too. He's hurt right now. I think he's gonna be hurt for a few months. Beginning the MLS season, he's 29.
Yeah, the second center back spot to be paired with Tim Parker will most likely be Joachim.
Yeah, Nielsen's a left-footed center back, so he's probably gonna play on the left-hand side of that, and Parker's, your natural right footer. I would like to say Parker did play with Jake Nerwinski at Vancouver.
Oh, they got
So
Cam
they
already.
got
Green
a
Links.
little partnership.
Green Links.
They've obviously aged since then a little bit and
Yeah.
branched out.
So Tim Parker is 29, but when is his birthday? He's coming up.
Yeah, he's about to turn 30. The 23rd of February.
Hey, so happy early birthday,
yes.
Tim
Hey,
Parker.
30's the new 25. Is what they're saying,
Especially for a center back.
Yeah.
Shout out Tim Ream.
Yeah.
Again.
And so also for Tim Parker, when he was a senior in high school, so he played forward and defense. So just delving deeper into that, he scored 25 goals and 8 assists his senior year. He was the 2010-2011 Gatorade New York Boys Soccer Player of the Year in the whole state of New York. And then he went to St. John's University, where he got onto the all-freshman team, the all-Big East second team his sophomore year, and then the all-Big East first teams his junior and senior year.
A lot of accolades.
Yeah.
He also made the U.S. men's national team back in 2018. That's when he got his first cap.
Mm-hmm.
And he played versus Ireland and he played versus France. So it's pretty good. It's good to have like solid veteran guys who've had national experience, and they've played in the MLS for a long time. So and
I got another center back that I want to keep an eye on. His name's Kyle Hebert.
I think he'll be our starting center back next to Tim Parker come the 25th. Just because Joachim Nielsen's out, but yeah,
and he's a little younger than those two, so it's a good person to start getting acclimated to our team so that he can become a leadership role in the future. He actually went to college here in Missouri. He went to Mo State. We have quite a few friends that also went to Mo State, which is an interesting little part of that. And
all the Boogans.
Yep. And he's in the 2020-2021 season, he started all 14 matches of the spring season, and he helped lead the MSU defense to a 78.1% goals against average, which is really good. In the 2021 season, he appeared in all 19 matches, and he started 18 of those 19, and he logged a team-high 1,625 minutes. He was pivotal in MSU's defense that was number 3 in goals against average, shutting out 10 of his 19 opponents. 10 shutouts in 19.
He was Missouri Valley Catholic's Defensive Player of the Year for 3 straight years.
Yeah.
And more recently, like his college career, I don't know if it really translates to the MLS like too directly, but I will say that this MLS Next Pro League, I think, is producing quite a bit of good talent. Like I think it's better. It's a step above the USL in my opinion, but it's also very fresh. And so he was extremely successful in this inaugural MLS Next Pro season, where he was named to the Next Pro Best 11, and he started all the matches. I think clean sheets. I'm a little bit hazy on. Might have been 8
9.
8 or 9,
Eight or
yeah.
9 clean
Yeah.
sheets. I can't remember what it was.
I think it was
Yeah.
9 out of like 26.
Yeah. So I think we got a good player for the future there and
Yep.
for the present, Kyle Hebert. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who you got at left back? Because this is kind of a little bit up in the air. I think it could go anywhere.
Yeah. So I think the preseason games, they were kind of sharing time between Selmir Pedro, the left back that we signed from Bosnia, and John Nelson, who we got in the expansion draft, I believe. From Cincinnati. So I know they've both been kind of battling hard to get that starting spot for the first game. I do think that John Nelson's probably going to end up with it, just because he seems a little bit more solid defensively.
I agree. I mean, he also played 26 games last year for FC Cincinnati. So
Yeah.
he's like acclimated to the league already.
Right, he's got the
I
experience.
think that Pedro I would love to see him out there, especially with the Bosnian community we have in St. Louis. I think he will crack the team eventually. I think he's got to work at it. And
He just needs some more
fight for his
experience and time, and
yeah.
and he's definitely the more attacking of the two.
And that's why I chose him.
Yeah.
Like him
I
one?
went with
Yeah.
him because I like our center back duo, but I also like that we have a CDM that can come in and play a
Cover
little
for it.
center back role.
Oh, yeah.
So that because I'm a big fan of attacking fullbacks.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you guys
He's
know
a
how
Liverpool fan,
yeah.
so they got Andy Robertson.
Trent
Alexander-Arnold, the
Right.
best right back in the league.
And actually, Pedro had an interview.
Reece James.
Ooh.
It's okay.
But this is an MLS show,
Yeah.
so
Right.
Exactly.
and I also think it's very valuable that Pedro is already starting for the Bosnian national team.
Yep,
And
he's got
he
some
played
caps.
against our own national team, and they beat us recently. So I think getting caps in a situation like that is a huge deal. I agree that he won't be our starter come the 25th, but I really think he's got the potential to take that spot. No hate to anybody. I just think that, goals win games.
Yeah.
And I looked up John Nelson's attacking stats. He in his past 4 years that he's played, he only had 2 assists total. So
Yeah.
that's not super great.
And it's a new game. I
Also,
think.
in terms of like take-ons attempted, he was number 1 percentile for take-ons attempted. So he doesn't even try to dribble up. You know.
Which
Uh,
he knows his role at least.
yeah, he's a
like,
defender through and
yeah,
through. That
if you're gonna come up against a team that is like a high attacking team, like they're
Yep.
really good at coming at you, then maybe John Nelson's the guy, and you want
So
to
yeah,
just lock
yeah.
it down.
Maybe they
It's different.
interchange
Yeah.
depending
It's-
on what we need.
they're
for
Exactly.
I
for the
think they're
start.
very complementary to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you watch Pedro's tape, man, it's just left-footed cross into the box after left-footed
Whipping 'em
cross.
in.
He's just whipping him in, and
And
it's
he's
beautiful.
dribbling around players
Oh, yeah.
too.
It's
Yeah,
dynamic.
it's awesome.
So
And I think that's the kind of gameplay I like in a press and high octane
yeah. But you can only do that. if you
gateway to
have-
hell kind of team.
Yeah. You can
Right.
only do that if you have this next player who we're about to talk about, who I'm probably most excited about on the team. It's Njabulo Blom. And I
Absolutely.
think everybody on the St. Louis City like fan pages on Facebook, they're all blowing up about him. All the Kaiser Chiefs fans. Kaiser Chiefs is
Shout out South Africa.
South African team that Njabulo came from. This is kind of a Bradley Carnell, Lutz Pfannenstiel masterclass right here. This is where like their network really is going to pay off, because I don't think anybody else was tapped into this guy. And you go and
Yeah.
you watch his highlight tape, he looks like Tyler Adams, a little less polished, I'll say that. He looks like Tyler Adams though. He's got pace. He never stops running.
He's a
Aggressive.
warrior.
He'll play box to box if he needs to, but he'll come back and fill in if, let's say, Pedro takes that left back spot.
Exactly.
He'll come in and he'll fill that defensive role when he needs to, and he'll clog up the middle. Like if any team's trying to drive balls through the middle and build their attack through the middle, then
And
I don't know. Good luck getting past
I think-
Njabulo Blom.
I think one of the biggest parts of being a high press, high octane team is obviously getting the ball, but once you get the ball, you have to keep the ball because there's a lot of energy expelled getting the ball, and he's a great player for holding the ball, holding possession. He's not trying to push it forward at all times. He's fine with working the midfield, passing it to his defensive people. He just
Yep.
likes working the ball around.
And
Yeah.
he definitely has that South African connection with Bradley Carnell, because that's where Carnell is from as well.
Carnell played for Kaiser Chiefs as well.
Nice. Yeah. So, and Blom does have 6 appearances for South Africa's senior national team. So, he's getting that international experience. He played in the World Cup qualifiers for this past World Cup.
If you guys,
He's only 23.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
man.
if you guys want to go check out his tape, it's definitely worth the watch. It might get you a little hype for this Saturday because
Absolutely.
it's
It's
a
electric.
fun watch for a CDM, and I don't want to get too big for my britches, but I love the kind of like Casemiro like warrior mentality of just
does the dirty
Yeah,
work in the midfield so
absolutely.
that somebody else can, like a more creative player can venture forward in the pitch. The last thing I have on Blom here is that we got him for like pretty much half price because the transfer market that they have for him is $667,000. We only paid $300,000. Part of that is because his contract was up with the Kaiser Chiefs anyway, and so they wanted to get some money in return. But the fact that Lutz and Bradley were able to identify the talent and bring him here and convince him to come here,
It's huge.
yeah,
Pull the trigger.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next guy who's gonna accompany him in this midfield, I have Edouard Leuven.
I do
He's
too.
our
He goes
10
by
shirt.
Edu.
Yeah, affectionately known as Edu.
Mhm.
and that's my MVP for the season.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
I love
I
love
agree
a
with you.
good box to box midfielder, and I think they're probably one of the most integral parts of a winning team.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't want to talk about Liverpool, but we don't really have a box to box midfielder, and it's absolutely falling apart.
It's killing
So-
you. Yeah.
And
Love
yeah,
to see it.
he's the third highest paid player on our team right now, which really shows how much they expect from him. So I really think off the bat he'll be starting every game, and he's only 26. He's an absolute workhorse.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got him from the Bundesliga, from Hertha Berlin. He got some caps for the German national team, which they won the World Cup 8 years ago?
I think it was for their U20 team or it was their Olympic
Well, he
squad.
played on their
Was it
Olympic
senior?
team.
Yeah,
Olympic team.
their Olympic team, but not
yeah.
the senior squad of like the German national team.
But,
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
Yeah.
mean, it's weird with the Olympics how like they don't.
They have
take-
to have a certain number of
it's still
whatever
impressive.
players.
Yeah, it's still
U25
impressive.
Especially
He's
for a
playing for them.
player that is now playing in the MLS.
Yeah,
I
and
think
he's-
that's got huge potential in it.
Exactly.
Just breaking into that, even if it was like half the senior squad, that's still a crazy squad to be breaking into.
Yeah, so he definitely has some of the most experience overseas out of our whole team, I'd say. 78 Bundesliga games with 7 goals, 8 assists. And then he's got some Bundesliga 2 experience, 5 goals, 6 assists in 43 games. He's played all over the pitch throughout
Yeah.
his whole career.
Yeah.
So some of his teams had him playing center back, fullback, winger, even striker. But what he likes to play and what I expect him to play at St. Louis City is center mid, box-to-box role.
But that's what you like to see out of your box to box is that he's played all over the pitch.
Yeah,
right?
he
'Cause
has
the box to
skills
box-
everywhere.
He'll end up somewhere.
He can fill in
yeah.
at any spot that's lacking.
Exactly. And then he's allowed, I think it'll be really exciting to see him venture forward in the pitch. Already in these preseason games, he's getting a lot of the assists to João Klaus. He had the one goal that we scored against Atlanta United in this last game. He had the assist. And so I think he's going to be able to get forward more because of the abilities of Njabulo Bloom. I'm going to get that name right one day.
And with him, I feel like even though he is getting the assists, I think that's the kind of player where the stats don't mean as much because of how much ground he's
Yeah.
covering and just filling in where he needs to. So if he gets the stats, great, but just him being out there to absolutely run his ass off
Yeah. And
is my favorite part about
fun
him.
fact about him, which might contribute to why he's my favorite player, he's always been a big fan of Real Madrid,
Oh
my
my
favorite
God.
European team. His favorite player is Zinedine Zidane. So if he can, replicate any of those skills that Zidane has, that'd be amazing.
That's
tall
high
ask. Edu,
expectations.
I'm not asking you to be Zidane. Yeah.
But anyway, I got some stats on him too.
On Zidane.
No, on Leuven. He, against other center midfielders, he is in the 93rd percentile in pressures, 78th percentile in progressive passes, 85th percentile in touches throughout the game, 97th percent in shot creating actions, and 97th in expected assists as
And
well.
What pool is that drawing from?
That is from all center mids.
Top
that-
five.
top 5 leagues.
Top 5 leagues, yeah.
Nice. That's an amazing.
That's
stat.
MVP numbers
Yeah.
right there,
And
sir.
you don't even think for a second the Lutz and Bradley and the scouting team, they're not aware of that. Like that is
Yeah.
exactly the type of eight
Exactly.
you
Gegen
want.
press.
Yeah, you're pressing, you're getting the ball, you're getting touches on the ball, and you're moving the ball.
You're
forward.
moving the ball forward,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing about him, he loves to take free kicks. The first thing
Is
that
there a
pops
free-
up when you search his name, I think, is it's a Bundesliga top 10 free kicks of the season video where he just scores a banger.
Pissa laddie scores
Yeah.
a pissa.
So I'm super excited to see him up against these MLS goalies, shooting the ball. He likes crossing the ball. In that Leverkusen game, he hit the crossbar from a free kick.
Oh yeah.
I
So
don't
yeah,
remember
I'm
that
just
game at all.
super excited. Yeah, Mickey was
Hammered.
I
blasted.
was just singing the whole time.
Yeah.
Even when there was like somebody hurt, they were like, "Bro, you gotta stop," and I was like,
What's going on? Yeah.
It's the passion.
"Come on, St. Louis!"
Well, the other guy who hit the crossbar. That's a good transition here. Probably one of my favorite players on the team, Tomáš Ostrak. He's from Czech Republic, but more specifically,
Hey, say something to him in Czech.
Ty si nejlepší. Yeah.
Yeah, what he
Nice.
said.
Yeah, he's from Friedrich Místek, which is like a eastern town just south of Ostrava, and he came up through the Köln Academy in Germany.
Köln,
And so
yep.
like they do. We've emphasized this already in the first podcast and on the second in this episode as well. The Bundesliga develops talent, no matter what team you're really in. You know?
Absolutely.
And so he came up with them since he was 17. He only had 26 first team minutes with the Köln team, but then he moved on, and he's
Well, he also, when he decided to leave, there were several Bundesliga teams that wanted him to come to them, and I mean, I'm sure he might have wanted a new change of pace, a new environment where he could be appreciated for his value, and here we are. He came
yeah, and I think
overseas.
he's really just looking for minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think
And he's 23, so who wouldn't want
Yeah.
minutes at 23?
Yeah,
You know?
and you watch his highlight tape, and you talk about a gegenpress in the midfield, like attacking midfielder. All that stuck out to me was like extremely high work rate on both sides of
Definitely.
the ball, like defensively and offensively. He's a really confident dribbler, which you love to see.
Absolutely.
Like he's not afraid to have the ball at his feet and take on a man 1v1
Mhm.
and then drive the ball forward. And that's the second thing. He's always looking for that forward pass.
Yeah, he's a great
Yeah.
playmaker.
Yeah, and he takes risks too. Like sometimes players, they'll come into the MLS or they'll get to a point in their career where they're afraid to make that flashy pass or do something a little bit like out of the ordinary, right, to make it happen. And he doesn't. It's not that he doesn't care. He does it he plays with passion. He plays with high work rate, and
And we love flash around here.
yeah, he'll be great in this counterattacking play. I
Yeah,
think.
and he can play on either side, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah.
In through the middle, attacking mid.
I have
He
him
likes a long shot too,
Yeah.
from what I understand.
It's true.
Yeah.
He was ripping them in the MLS Next Pro team, so he was scoring from range there. There was one game that we watched out at SIUE. Who'd they play? Was it Tacoma? I think they played Tacoma to clinch the conference, and he scored that game I think it was a shot outside the 18 there. And so I have him playing as our cam.
Yeah, me
Oh,
too.
Oh, absolutely.
Me too.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
See,
my
but
kid.
I don't know if it's an absolute for me. Like, there's so many players that
we
we
can't-
have that could be anywhere in those that front three midfielders that they could all kind of interchange. Like,
Right. So the
Ostrak
back.
could go to the outside. He's our 7, so he could
Yeah.
go out to the outside on either right or left.
Yeah, I think our back four pretty nailed down.
Yeah.
And then those two, Blom and Leuven,
Pretty nailed
they're
down.
they're pretty nailed down. But then
Yeah.
this front three behind the striker, I think, is where things get interesting.
There's a lot of competition.
There's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
The preseason
There's a lot
saw
of
a lot of
promise.
changes. Like there wasn't a single. I mean, the three there, they rotated every game, and
Yeah.
several times throughout the game. Even.
We've got a pretty young and promising attacking
Core,
pool
and they're just gonna
to
see,
choose from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna see who shakes out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Somebody like the cream will rise, and people will fall in and out of form. Somebody you could mention in this spot, Jared Stroud. I have him out on the left in my starting 11.
Yep.
But I think he could venture into the middle. Indiana Václav, who's not in my starting 11, but
He's
he
not in
could
mine either.
he
but
could also
he's
play
one to watch.
right up the middle. He was a Villa Austin Villa 2 team player.
He got
Got
some
some
minutes on the
first-team
first team.
minutes.
Yeah,
Minutes
and
too.
in the FA
In the
Cup.
cup.
Yeah.
But
He's
yeah,
exciting.
going back to Stroud, I think that he's probably going to start off the season. He's played in the MLS. He's played with New York Red Bulls for 3 seasons, so he knows that high press style that Carnell likes.
Yeah, played with Bradley.
Yeah, exactly. He's 26, so he's a little bit older than our average age of 24. He's got the experience. I think he's gonna be starting, and he started the last preseason game just yesterday. So I think that's gonna be a good indicator that he's gonna be starting on the left at least at first.
And so I went with someone because I wanted to make sure we didn't all have the same guy on everything. So I went with Isak Jensen.
Oh, he's a dynamic player as
He
well.
is, and he's only 19.
Yeah.
And he's from Denmark, which is like the 18th best ranked team in the world right now. He's got huge playmaking potential. He made 19 appearances for his team in the Danish first division, which isn't the craziest thing ever, but it's also he was 18 at the time, so just playing on any first team in a European country is pretty bonkers. And we have him until 2026, so
Yeah, and I heard he's a pace demon.
yeah.
Like
I-
just flying down the wings.
So I think even though I put him on my starting 11, I don't think he's going to start, but I think he's a great option off the bench to come in and bring some flair to it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I mean,
And
when
some
you're that
speed.
young,
Yeah.
and you come off the bench, you're looking to prove something, and I think that's what I want to see from him is to come off the bench and just absolutely tear some of these people up. Because
And Carnell's definitely not afraid to play the youth. So
No.
Yeah.
so he's
And-
definitely going to get a chance to shine. And that being said, when he joined, similar to Ostrak, he had interest from several top clubs in Europe too. So I know Bayern Munich and Lyon in France, they were
wow.
both looking at
oh
him.
wow,
So I think he just kind of thought he had more of a chance for minutes here.
get him out there.
Yeah. So I want to give him the time of the field too.
Yeah.
I just want to see him shine.
Well, talk about fearless. Like you're 19, you're moving to a brand new country, you're coming into America with a new expansion team. They've never actually had they're not part of the league yet. And from what I've heard in the interviews with some of the leadership on the squad, like Leuven and Berkey, they said that Jensen is just for being so young, he's an extremely mature person. Like he'll come in
I believe it.
and he'll handle that. He'll shoulder the weight of taking a starting spot if he needs to.
I think Denmark, as a national team, have one of the most promising futures ahead of them. Yeah,
Yeah,
at least in
they look
recent
good.
past. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been some high expectations for them, but they're a young team, and we're a young team. So hopefully he starts getting minutes for them, and that'll translate into an absolute riot on the left.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that even in the spots that are pretty locked down, we still have that backup behind them that's like in their teens or their 20s that will be there in 5-6 years ready to switch it
To
up.
compete,
And
yeah.
competition is one of the biggest parts of being a successful club. You can't get comfortable, and as long as there's someone right there waiting for your spot,
Yeah.
you got to try as hard as you can. So
Exactly.
Yep.
be sure to watch out for him.
Who do you have on the right side now? We've covered the middle and the left.
So yeah, I think it's gonna be Rasmus Alm.
Yeah, I had
'Cause
him as well.
recent,
Because he's been
but-
starting in the preseason games.
Yep. He's also got the experience. He's 27. He was playing at Swedish club Elfsborg. He had
It's
108.
the most Swedish thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, Swedish.
But yeah, I think he's got the calm mind that comes with just playing at a high level for so many years. He had 108 games played, 27 goals, 17 assists. That's really a pretty good return. He's got the high work rate that Carnell and Lutz are looking for. So yeah, I think he's kind of the shoe-in to start. But
yeah, his
like-
spot is up for grabs though. Like
I agree.
all those front
front
three
three are
could
up,
be
yeah.
could be anybody. So
Yeah.
And
it's
I think-
exciting.
I think it'd be interesting to see if Vasilev could be put on the right, because I think he's played as left, right, and striker in his career, and
Mhm.
I mean, and he's a homegrown. He's from Georgia, so I think it's really interesting to try and bring in people that we might someday see in the U.S. men's national team.
Speaking of somebody who did already make their U.S. men's national team debut, Nico
Gioacchini, yeah.
Gioacchini.
So I actually had
He
him.
could be on the right side
Yeah,
as well. 'cause
that's
he's
exactly what I
left-footed.
was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so He prefers to play as a number 9. I actually watched an interview with him. He said he likes to play in a 2-striker system, so kind of as a second striker. But when he was playing in France, he played a lot on the right.
What team did he play for in France? Was it Lee? He wasn't at
Paris.
Lyon.
So
FC
he
Paris.
played for FC Paris in the youth academy, and then he played for Caen in the 2nd division for 2 years, and he did really well there, and he got loaned out to Montpellier in the 1st league. Unfortunately, he didn't score that many. He didn't start that many games. So in 2022, he went to Orlando City. So just for, the past 6 months or so, he's been there. And we got him from Orlando in the expansion draft. So he was one of their unprotected players. According to their fans, they were really devastated to see him go because he had so much promise.
I could see why.
Yeah,
He scored 3 goals and provided 2 assists and 8 caps for the U.S. men's national team.
yeah,
in
and
2020.
he was part of the reason that the U.S. won the Gold Cup in
Gold Cup?
2021.
Yeah.
He had a goal and an assist.
First Panama.
It was like
He got
2-0.
the game-winning assist in the semifinals against Qatar. Yeah. So he's stepped up on that stage. I think he's gonna step up for us too. So
I think Klaus will start over him.
yeah, I think
initially, because I think he's your not run of the mill, but
Yeah.
your cookie cutter number 9, headers, footer.
Yeah, you're right. But I think if we get a 2-striker system,
Oh,
they're
gonna
gonna
think
be
about that.
they're gonna be great together. Because one's like a pace demon who's kind of more shifty. He'll play on Giacchini. Will play Giacchini. How do you say it? in French?
Joachini,
Joachini.
yep.
He
Yeah,
played.
we got our
Italian
French expert
Italian
over
name.
here.
I'm
Oh.
French, yeah, but his parents are from Jamaica and Italy,
Oh.
so I think that's an Italian name.
Okay. Yeah.
He lived in Italy for 3 years, but
And I'm Italian, but I sure don't speak it. So we got our Czech and our French guy, but I speak English.
I took
Sorry,
3 months of
folks.
Italian, so I guess I'm the Italian
we go.
expert here.
All I
He's
know
a genius,
is
people. He's a
Bevo, the Bevo
genius.
chant. Speaking of, so the main man up top, Joao Klaus.
Yeah.
Joao Klaus.
yeah.
And I think he's gonna kind of steal the show for City. For everybody who maybe doesn't
Okay.
watch soccer all the time, they want to see the guy who's bagging goals. That's really what they're looking for. They want to see the guy who's scoring goals. He is an electric highlight tape. He
Yep.
just is banging from wherever. He'll head it in. He's a tall man. I think he's like 6'2", 6'3". And he can bang from outside the 18 as well.
Yeah.
That game
With-
that we watched at SIUE, he was looking dangerous the whole
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
he's
he
looking
can-
like a man amongst boys.
Yeah,
out
he was
there.
really bodying everybody.
Yeah. I think we spent the most on him in
Oh.
terms of transfer fees. We
Oh,
spent
nice.
$3.5 million on him. And yeah, he can shoot from outside the box or inside the box even with both feet.
He's from Brazil, and
Yep.
Brazil produces some incredible goal scorers.
And
so-
he's got the high work rate too, which, for a gegenpress, you kind of need your striker to be the first defender, if you will.
Yeah.
So
I think
he's that guy.
he hungers for goals.
Yeah, he just wants the ball. He
he's
just
a
wants to
freak.
score.
Yeah,
His best season was in the Finnish first flight. It was for oh man, I'm gonna butcher this name. Veikkausliiga. In the Veikkausliiga, that's their first league, and he played for HJK Helsinki. In 33 games, he had 21 goals and 4 assists, and he was the top goal scorer in the league. So that was a while ago, though. He moved when Lutz was at Hoffenheim. He recruited Joao Klaus, and so he knew about him
Oh,
prior
wow.
and brought him in. And then in 2020, he only played 4 games in the Bundesliga, total of 46 minutes. So you can't really judge a whole lot off of that.
sometimes it's the system you're in.
Yeah,
you know?
he had a lot of guys above him, but he did start in 4 Europa League games and came off the bench for 1. So that's a lot of Europa League time. It's like quality.
I think he bagged a goal and an assist in the Europa Conference League after they didn't make it in the Europa League. And yeah, I think that's my top scorer of the season
yeah,
is him.
yeah.
That's the easy choice, I think.
I'd
He's
say-
obviously the number 9. He's going to be the man leading the line. He's, you'd
I'd
hope
say
he's the leading scorer.
Watch out for our wingers, especially our left wing. I'm excited to see that left wing because
Well,
I think the left if we could get our left back paired up with our left wing correctly, it could be a scary sight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So who do you guys think are going to be the dark horse off the bench?
I got
know
a
we
few
kinda
that
mentioned
I
some.
could give you, but if
You just had to pick one.
I had to pick one, I'm
Yeah.
gonna say it's Samuel Endenarian. Yeah, he's like a 6'4", 24-year-old Nigerian guy coming out of. He used to play for Seattle Sounders, but then he was loaned out to Tacoma Defiance. He played a lot of USL with them. But then he was also loaned out at San Antonio FC, and he had over 2 seasons he had 25 goals and 53 appearances. And if you watch his highlight tape, he's clutch. He comes up big in the playoff games. They ended up winning. I think San Antonio won the league that year. And he's got an electric left foot that is just bending balls in.
I like the sound of that 50%.
I know. It's a high
goal every 2
percentage.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Mickey.
Marlon, who's our guy? Pompey.
Celio Pompeu.
Yes,
Yeah,
Pompey.
He's
yeah.
an MLS Next Pro player for the
Yeah.
He had the second most chances created in the MLS Next Pro and brought us to the final. I mean, we got to the final. We didn't win it, but
Yeah, he was one of the leaders offensively of our Next
yeah,
Pro team.
So I'd say he's a good dark horse. He's definitely a great option to bring in second half of the game, make some stuff happen.
Mhm.
He's young and he's talented.
He's one of those guys that are
23-year-old Brazilian.
He's vying for one.
I
of
love
those
the
winger
Brazilians,
spots.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said so he was second most chances created in the Next Pro. My guy, who I
here
think
we
is the
go.
Next Pro, or the dark horse for
You're
our
gonna
team is
one-up me?
AZL Jackson. He
Oh,
had the
yeah.
most chances created in the Next Pro league. He's only 21. He played for Minnesota United.
My bad, bro.
No.
I'm kidding.
I'm taking away nothing from
It's
him.
good. Good that we have both guys.
So
you know?
much competition
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
across the field.
He
It's
had 10
fantastic.
goals and 7 assists in 23 games as a winger, as an attacking mid. So, that's huge as not being the striker and you have that many attacking numbers.
Yeah. I think it'd also be unfair to not mention Akil Watts in this situation.
Mhm.
I watched him throughout the MLS Next Pro season, and so Muhammad and I went out to Lawrence, Kansas, and watched them in the freezing cold. We watched him at SIUE. We watched him come on versus Leverkusen, and I thought he was very impactful. I thought he had a great game versus Leverkusen.
That's a great
despite the
team to
fact-
be impactful
Oh
against.
my
Yeah.
gosh! And he just looks dangerous. And the cool thing about Akil Watts is he could be your right back. He could be your midfielder.
Yeah, he can play anywhere.
He really could play anywhere. I don't know if I'd strike him, but
Multi-role utility player.
multi-role utility player. Absolutely.
Like our boy Riley.
Yeah, check out the
With the
intro
emphasis
Except
in the
just, like,
midfield.
way better.
But
Yeah.
so he's also played some some number 6 minutes in the preseason. AZL Jackson and Indy Vasilev, they both are attacking players,
I love
attacking mids
Vasilev.
and wingers, but they also played some minutes in that number 6 role.
Yeah.
We
In
got
the
a lot of
preseason.
runners, man.
Yeah, so
Just
You know,
A lot of
competition.
hungry.
everyone's fighting for
hungry young
spots.
men
Yeah.
that want to get their spot.
Yeah. So I mean, just who do you guys think is our MVP? Who do you think is our top goal scorer? And what do you think what's your score prediction for next Saturday?
okay. MVP I think is going to be Edu Leuven.
Leuven.
Leuven?
Yeah,
That's me too, yeah.
I think he's just gonna run the whole game for us. I think he's gonna be winning the ball back, and
He'll
he's gonna be
be-
making passes forward,
He'll be a
scoring
guy
some long
that
shots,
you
free
won't
kicks.
know he's having a good game, but that's because he's doing his job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what you want out of your 8.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Filling in the holes.
I'll take a little. I don't want to take the same exact guy. I'll say Yao Klaus is going to be our top goal scorer, and he will also be our MVP.
All right, I'll change mine. How about that? I'll go Roman Berkey
Wow. Okay.
because I want to back our goalie. I want him to feel confident. I want him to make big saves, and I want him to get us to some finals where he has his experience. And honestly, it's one of the biggest transfers in the MLS in recent years. I mean, that's a crazy. He could have gone in the Bundesliga too. He could have stayed.
he was
in
wanted
Europe.
by Valencia, Bayern Munich, and I think he could really make or break our season.
Yeah, I think a good goalkeeper is the most integral thing you can have for a quality season.
I
And
think it's encouraging that you had a goalkeeper, you had a midfielder, and I had a striker. All of them vying for MVP.
Yep.
So pretty much every section of the field is covered there. Yeah. I'm excited. I feel
score
like,
predictions
what do
for
you guys,
Saturday.
What do you guys think for Saturday?
I'm going 2-1. Us. Book it. Make your bets right now. Easy money. You're welcome.
I'm going 2-0 us. I think that Austin's not going to be ready for our high press. I think that our defensive line's going to look really good.
Oh, all right. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna say
Austin.
3-2 us. I think it's a nail biter. I think Edward Leuven bangs one from outside the 18 in the 89th minute. Book it.
All right. I'm
And
gonna
then for
say, yeah.
oh, go ahead. I was
My
gonna-
goal scorers, I'm going to go with Klaus, and Ostrak.
I like
Your Czech boy. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to see you happy, Chris.
I was gonna say Leuven top goal scorer, but that might be kind of aiming too high.
He's doing a lot already.
Yeah, he might not. He might be doing too much work in the midfield.
He might be top assists.
Yeah.
In our team. So
Never know.
That heat map is going to speak for itself, though.
Yeah. Definitely. And then I guess the last thing to talk about is the captains, right?
Yeah.
So there was a article written by Tim from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Tom Timmerman, and so he said that the players elected a leadership council at the start of the preseason, and so the players elected Roman Berkey, Tim Parker, Joakim Nilsson, Josh Yarrow, Edu Leuven, and Kyle Hebert is on the thing, on the council.
It's a lot of captains, man.
Just while Nielsen is hurt.
It's a leadership council.
It's a leadership council.
We don't know who's the captain yet.
And they're thinking that the captain's gonna be one of them.
Who
if
you
I were to
got?
guess, I'm guessing
I'm going Berkey.
I'm gonna say it's Tim Parker.
I think it's gonna be Tim Parker too, just because he captained Dynamo last year. He has the most MLS experience. He's I think the oldest on the team, or I guess Berkey's the oldest, but oldest outfield player. So yeah, I think it's gonna be Parker.
I love an older center back that's out there balling, man.
Yep.
The experience, you could see it.
Yeah.
As long as he's not too slow.
Well,
that remains to
as
be
long
seen.
as his positioning is fine, then it doesn't matter how fast he is.
That's true.
Yeah, Puyo played until
Thiago Silva.
Until his
Thiago
body
Silva's
fell
still playing.
apart.
Still doing it.
Yeah. All right, I think that's the pod, y'all.
Tim Ream, the GOAT.
Hey, tap in next week.
That's it. That's the whole show, folks.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Soul of the City. Make sure to check us out on YouTube at First Touch Media and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can find us on any major social media platform at First Touch 314. Make sure to tune in next week on Wednesday for the next episode.